I went for a walk today, right? I was really enjoying it, really enjoying listening to the insights from you, Geordie, and you. Fantastic show yesterday. And then you guys started talking about the Judgment Day. And you said that the Judgment Day hasn't elevated anyone. And then you
Yep.
go ahead and say that Damian Priest would have become a star anyway and all of this. Hang on a second. Let's just take a step back. Before the Judgment Day, Damian Priest coming up from NXT was a glorified mid-carder. Never in a million years did it look like he was going to be a world champion. He entered the Judgment Day. It turned him into a world heavyweight champion. Rhea Ripley, was she a big deal? Yes. Was she losing momentum? Yes. Were the IWC saying she was overrated? Yes. They put her in the Judgment Day, and guess what? She became one of the biggest draws in the entire company. Then let's take a step back for a second and talk about by far the biggest one, and that is Dominic Mysterio. This guy went from basically seeming like he was only had a job because of his dad to actually being one of the best parts about WWE TV on a weekly basis. He was so bland. He was so boring. There was nothing overly special about him, to be honest with you, in 2021. Then the Judgment Day happened and he became a star. Carlito, I still believe, only has a job in WWE because of this Judgment Day stuff. Same for JD McDonough, and I'm big fans of them both. I just don't think WWE would have plans for them if it wasn't the Judgment Day. The one name who hasn't benefited from this is Finn Balor. I'll give you that. It's not helped him in the slightest. But Liv Morgan, she's been doing the best work of her career. Same for Raquel Rodriguez, other than perhaps her run in NXT. Clark, I can't get my head around for a second your agenda, your issues with the Judgment Day when they have done all of that. That is straight facts. I don't understand how you can say they didn't make any stars.
Group has no direction. It's been turnover after turnover. They were the creepy guys with the purple stuff, and I don't like purple. I went to KU, not K-State. So I don't like purple, never have. Maybe that's part of my problem. I don't know. You got Finn Balor in leather pants with a purple flag hanging out the right side. Like, what is he, Snoop Dogg? Stop it. This is ridiculous, Ben. The Judgment Day has been cornier than the cob they give you when you get the smokehouse combo at Chili's. It is a joke. You can't possibly think that this group has benefited the stars. Give the talent the credit, not the booking on the Judgment Day. People aren't going, you know what I like is that purple Judgment Day gear. It's graphic tee after graphic tee. I don't know how they're doing merch sales-wise. It's fine. Dom Mysterio is the only one that's truly been benefited. Liv Morgan was already going to be a star and elevated, and she didn't need the group to elevate her. Same with Rhea Ripley.
But it did elevate
That's
her.
a joke. That's a joke. She's elevated herself inside of a crappy group. That's okay. That's okay too. The two things can be true at once here. Rhea Ripley also was going to be the top of the card star that she is, with or without the Judgment Day. Damian Priest is an interesting one. I mentioned this yesterday on the show. You said you watched it. I mentioned it yesterday. Compared to other call-ups, he didn't have the success in NXT that he's had on the main roster. But the matches that he put on, especially after leaving the Judgment Day, are where he's been at his finest. And that's where he's legitimized himself, despite having to give up the crossroads to your beloved Cody. Despite all of that, Damian Priest would have been a stud no matter what. And his best work surrounding the Judgment Day has been fighting the Judgment Day.
So, but that came from that story. That's one and the same.
It wasn't enough. What days are they judging? What is the direction of this group? Who's the leader? Who's the leader? Is Edge still calling the shots from AEW? Who's the leader?
Well, that's the entire dynamic point of it. Finn Balor always thought that he was the leader. Rhea thought she was the leader. Damien thought he was the leader. Now Liv thinks she's the leader. I think Dom's the leader.
Just apart. Thank you. The name is trash.
Well, the name might be trash. I'm not disputing that. But what I am disputing is the fact that it has made stars. It actually has made stars.
Yeah, they literally took the goth kids from the playground, put them in backstage segments standing together to cut promos. And if you think that made the talent that have elevated despite the Judgment Day stars, I'll let you have that. But I just am not buying it. Nothing
Come
about the
on.
Judgment Day made them stars. They made themselves stars.
You did. The
Doing really
positions they were
good
in,
work.
the stories they were telling.
Damian Priest doesn't need to stand with 5 people to cut a promo anymore. And that
Well,
has
he doesn't
nothing
anymore,
to do,
but did he before?
that has
Yes.
nothing to do with the time that they made him do it. No,
He would have
did
been
not.
released, I reckon,
No.
genuinely 6 months after the Judgment Day started.
Oh,
If
he
it
would
wasn't
have
for the
been
Judgment Day,
released.
I believe that. Yeah, I genuinely.
Ridiculous.
That's when they were doing the match releases. I believe that would
No.
have happened.
Not Priest. That's a joke. Multi-time world champion.
Yeah, now.
Mostly
Before
not.
he wasn't.
Mostly not in the Judgment Day.
He was fighting zombies.
How many days of his reigns were in the Judgment Day, and how many days were not in the Judgment Day? How about Rhea Ripley?
But how many of them were after the Judgment Day?
How about Ripley? How many days of Finn Balor's title reigns have been in the Judgment Day?
I actually think Ripley, you might. No, Finn Balor's the one, which I'm saying to you. You're right. It's not helped Finn Balor at all. That is the one case. Which
all of them except Liv and Dom, who were never intended for the group. This is making chicken salad out of chicken you know what.
Well, we don't know if they were ever intended for the group or not. The fact is they became part of the group.
Well, they were
and the fact is it
we're
helped
going to
them.
bring in Dom and Liv 2 years after we did this. I mean, dude, they had weird shadows and lighting in their initial in-ring promos. This is not, there's nothing that cool about the Judgment Day, and they haven't done anything for anyone that wouldn't have been accomplished without the existence of the Judgment Day.
That. There's no way to prove that when all of them have come out of it better than when they were in it.
What you said either. We're having a debate.
Well, they are. The theme is they've all come out better than when they went into it.
I'm just telling you right now, I don't believe that the Judgment Day is the reason that as talented of performers as we have, especially in Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, are why they're so over and in consistent fixtures in the world title picture. I'm not buying that.
I think Rhea Ripley would have been a star anyway. I agree with you on that point. I don't think Damian Priest would have been. But I do think that really, the Judgment Day really, and being able to lean into that goth aesthetic for Rhea Ripley is a big reason she became the mainstream star she was. I think it did, fast track her a little bit. I think she probably would have done it anyway. Damian Priest sure as hell wouldn't. And quite frankly, Dom wouldn't have either.
He would have. Why would Damian Priest not have? He's had incredible rivalries.
He was doing nothing before the Judgment Day.
This goes back to you hating old people. You don't like his age.
No, it does. No, it doesn't.
Yes,
no, it doesn't.
It does. He's in his 30s. If he's 28 years old, you're not saying the same thing about Priest. I know.
I am. He was doing nothing. It was stale, right? He had nothing too special about him other than the Crossroads, which he was about to lose. We all know he was about to lose it because Cody was coming into your point.
We all knew. Why would we have to know?
The Judgment Day elevated him. He's elevated everybody. Poggi won 9/11.
For AJ Styles with Edge at 38. They've been on fire since then.
He wasn't in the Judgment Day. Do you lads think Oromenta will join the Judgment Day? No, that would be I'd be stunned.
If they get one more new member, I'm going to lose my mind.
They might. I don't think they should either, Clark. I agree with you.
Go ballistic. If they bring in any more people, I swear to you, like everybody cannot be a member of the Judgment Day. It makes no sense.
It really
makes no sense in the world. It's goofier than a football bat.